Hey guys, Olaf here from LSE in Central Florida. So today we do a repacking on a Titan 440, and as you can see I've done this in the backyard with minimum tools because I want to make sure that when I'm actually doing this type of work that I can do it also in the field. I always have spare cylinder, piston, and the packaging kits with me. I just ran short, so that's why I've done this video here. And you can see here in multiple sequences how you can actually get it apart. So the two bolts which are actually holding your pump, the pump actually is the aluminum piece, which you see here in the picture is being silver and being hammered on and smacked on from the prior owner. This is a used one I bought out of Jacksonville, and it had a bunch of issues and still has a couple minor issues, but I got pretty much everything figured out, trying to solve everything, make everything work again. So one of the problems was that the paint was actually coming out from the top, where you can see the piston is being held by that U-clamp, and so now you can see actually how I got it out. So the two Allen wrench hex bolts are 3/8 of an inch. And now you can see me unscrewing this top nut, which is actually 1.75 inches, believe it or not. And it's the same on the bottom piece as well. So you can either get a bigger adjustable wrench, or you just get a wrench that size. And so make sure that when you change out your piston, that the seals around the pistons don't get damaged when you insert it. That's why you get with it special piece, which is pretty much like a head, like a cover, which goes over it, and then you can push with the hammer hit pretty much the pistons through the seals without damaging the seals, which can happen very easily. So make sure that that doesn't happen. That's why I always have like 2 or 3 of these kits. You see it right now on the bottom right there in place. And so as you can see, the tools I'm using is a hammer, an adjustable wrench, crescent wrench, a flathead screwdriver, and a Phillips screwdriver PH2 from the tip size. The screwdriver is for actually removing top cover. And so the video is jumping a little bit back and forth because I've done that in segments. But this is your pump core part. The black piece you can see there on it is actually where your filter sits inside for the paint being pre-filtered before it goes through the line. Quite often a lot of people tend to forget that and just say, oh, it doesn't pump any more paint. It has to be the valve or something inside the pump. Check the filter first. The adapter you see there on the left side here right now in the picture, which is a phone jack wire, that is actually a pressure sensor, which is also screwed into the pump. So if your pump never finish building pressure up and it's constantly running, but it's not leaking anywhere fluid out of the top or bottom, and the suction is okay, and you check the suction, and when you turn over into prime, it goes into prime, and out of the prime there's no air coming, meaning that it does not suck any air through the incoming line, and the ball's moving fine. Check the filter. Like this was one of the problems in this pump. There was a series of problems, but one was that filter was completely clogged solid, and it's a standard filter. And make sure you use there a grit. Titan is not really telling you what type is what, but pretty much when you look at a Titan filter, green is for coarse, white for medium, yellow for fine, and a red for extra fine. I think in wide range you're around 100 micro flashing. Mine is higher, and so on. I normally use the white when I'm using latex, but sometimes if I have heavy latex, I go down to the green. So those are the only two I'm carrying because I'm using this pump primarily for latex paint. Now you can see me actually pointing out the parts. There you see the old in the left and the new on the right piston. Or reverse, actually, this is the old one. And so when you shake that, you should hear the ball moving. And that didn't move, so I said, okay, just for the quick, here you can hear the actually ball dinging and banging inside the piston, moving freely. That means your upper valve is clean and freely moving. Um, if you don't have the piston out, you can do that with a small flathead, just poking from below into the hole to see if the ball is actually moving. Because you can't really hear it otherwise. The ball on the lower intake valve you can easily take care of because you just take the down assembly off by screwing it off again with an 1.75 inch wrench, and you can access it. I'll show you guys during this video also another problem I had, which is a phenomenon most people don't really know, and even sales reps from Titan didn't know the solution. So right now, going back to the seals, as you can see, this was the old type of seal where it was two parts. The new one is actually one single part and has two O-rings on the outside. So it looks a little bit different, but does do the same function. All the other parts come in that repacking kit, which you can get on Amazon or eBay or whatnot for less than $10. You just have to have a little bit of time because sometimes it's being shipped from China. If you want the piston with it, you end up around $23, include shipping and everything. Where if you go to like Sherwin-Williams or Titan directly and buy the rebuild kit, you're spending way over $50 on the rebuild kit alone. So you can actually cut your cost in half. Just make sure that when you use that pump in the field, that you always have one repacking kit with you and those tools on hand because you need them anyways when you have to work on that pump for one reason or the other. Like some paint got stuck and you have to clean it out quickly by taking it out. All in all, a service like this takes less than 20 minutes if you have all your tools lined up. As you can see, the video is a little bit shortened to 18 minutes roughly. But as you can see now, I'm pointing out that upper seal there is very important. So don't damage that when you re-insert your rod. And that seat ring, what you see there, actually pushes down on that to make sure it stays really, really tight around the piston. And that is most of the time the first part to fail. There you can see that cap, which actually goes on top of the piston when you reinsert the piston from below. Best is you have a device where you can squeeze it in so it holds tight, like can't think of the word right now. Anvil or anyhow, so you can just hammer it quickly through. Best with an inch, 1.25 inch socket with short extension, and you just punch it quickly straight through. Same, you can also reinsert, and there you can see actually it has two nylon rings. That is how the new seals look like. So they improved that design from being one ring with an additional washer to actually being a solid piece now with two um, rings. And so just make sure that that one gets inserted the right way. So there you see the piston again. So that fits exactly through there. This is the bottom one. The upper actually looks the same, it's just a smaller diameter and gets tapped in place. When you remove them, use a flathead screwdriver on the inside and tap it all the way around. Make sure that you only tap the part of that seal and not the outside wall, since it's very easy to damage. So now you see the lower intake valve part, so that's the housing. Then you have your seat washer, which I'm scratching right now some of the old paint off. That has to be perfectly clear because otherwise that pressure, that ball is actually not seating proper, and then pressure is not being pushed upwards. Instead, some of the paint is being forced back down into your bucket. So that's part of the problem which can happen. So that just sits inside there. There's nothing holding it other than the ball cage, which you see right now in the picture there on the bottom right. Mine is broken, so that was one of the other problems. When yours is broken, just replace it. If you have the symptom that you pump and it takes a long time to build pressure, and then the pressure is not being held when you're going in a higher pressure range. Problem there is that that ball is traveling too far up and doesn't have enough time to go back down to seat proper. So that's one thing I noticed in the field. There you can see actually the telephone jack. That's where actually a pressure sensor is being clipped in. Sometimes you need to use flathead or some sort of a screwdriver just to hold it in place so it doesn't slide back in when you try to reconnect that connector, which you just saw on the bottom of the picture, back in there. And make sure that when you slide back in that the piston has two cutouts on the top to hold in, and you can see it right now there. So they have to line up proper so that you can actually slide it back in. Ideally, you want to use two hands to get the whole thing back in there together. And while you have that at port, make sure that you inspect for proper greasing on that motor piston part and not the pump piston. That is all greased right. It doesn't get overheated. A lot of people tend to forget to actually service it. There's a grease zerk on that piston top, which is for that bearing. I would recommend go at it at least once a week. Squeeze new grease in, and the way you can tell if your grease is worn out, if it changed its color and its consistency. So mine was in this case very, very liquidy. You could push it between your fingers and it was like softer than butter. And that means it's worn out, it's done. So just squeeze more through it, but you can't push enough into it. There's a small amount which can be held inside of that bearing, and so it normally squeezes out right around your insert zerk to the front, and then you can see, oh, there's my new grease. So if you have the capability of having two good greases on hand with different colors, just change the color each time. This way you have a nice indicator. There you can see me right now with the flathead. Sorry for jumping back and forth here, but um, the audio on the video was not great, so I had to do an overlay. But there you can see how I actually finagle it to get it back out and to hold it back out so that I can clip back in that sensor, because nothing's holding that telephone jack back there. So once it's back in there, then you have to slide your piston into the U-shaped down part of the motor piston, and so that they are then permanently connected to each other. Um, and as you can see, sometimes it does not line up proper, and then you have a big problem. So use a wrench just on the top part, because that doesn't go into the seals, not on the down part, and because then you can destroy with the piston the seal immediately, and you can redo the whole job. So now it's in, as you can see, and you cannot really easily push it up. Um, the easiest way is you turn your motor by hand. Don't use the motor itself for it. Turn it by hand so that it actually pulls up the piston and the whole assembly. As you can see, I just pushed that, turned it. Sometimes when it's on dead center, it does not, so then you have to give it a little bit of a move there. Good is once you are aligned up with these pins, which actually slide back into your pump, then you insert your 3/8 Allen wrench screws into it and tighten it up. This way it gets reseated correctly and nothing is out of line. Just make sure you line it up proper. Don't go super crazy on it, just so don't strip anything because it's all aluminum bodies. You see now the big screw up, which is a big no-no. Don't run your pump. It's not fully reassembled. I accidentally hit the light switch, the on and off switch. But now I have it upside down. This way I can push it in correctly. So I didn't do it in the shop. I actually did it on my back porch because I have no shop tools there. So I couldn't use my down devices or anything. So this was for me an exercise how to do it actually in the field. When you're at a customer side, you have to service your sprayer because something breaks, which most of the time is, and bringing it back to a shop like Sherwin-Williams or PBG and then get that serviced, put you out of commission pretty much if you're only running with one Airless sprayer. So it's a very good exercise even for yourself when you are a painter and you're using those type of pumps to actually do it yourself. Because it does not take rocket science, as you can see, to service your Airless sprayers and the pumps with it and everything. Just make yourself very familiar with it. This is part of being a professional painter which uses an airless sprayer. You can work, of course, as a painter also without it, but to make money today, you pretty much have to rely on these tools on a day in and out base because less time at the job site spent means more time um, in return to your pocket because you're done in half the time instead of just rolling by using actually an Airless sprayer. And there are multiple ways you can use the Airless sprayer. I'll show you a video pretty soon here, and I will also offer on my store where I actually sell mostly solar products, but I also will sell the new roller covers for it. It is actually an Airless attachment for your Airless sprayer, which allows you to actually use a pressure roller. And the pressure roller works in the way that, like the gun itself, but instead of gun and open fan, it actually forces it through the tube into the inside of your roller and the roller cover, and through the roller cover from the inside out, it bleeds the paint out. This way you don't have fumes, you don't have overspray, and you can roll inside in a house where somebody is living because it's the same way. But you do not have to run back and forth to your tray, especially if you're doing sealing. It is very, very big. And so make sure that you're going to watch that video. Um, Chris, the Idaho painter, did an awesome video not too long ago about it as well. It is an immense time saver. And once you know your pump, clean it quick, this whole process will change your game on how you make money because you can do a sealing with a 12-inch roller pressure or 18-inch manual in a time and fashion where the person who's doing actually the rolling, either with a 9-inch or 18-inch, doesn't matter, is sweating to the point that he's exhausted while he's doing the same exact effort as you do with the pressure roll, where you are not exhausted. You have still a lot of energy left after you've done the whole sealing, because you don't have to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth to the tray and then to the ceiling, re-rolling the paint to the ceiling. No, because the paint is already fed through your airless sprayer directly to your roller. Constantly at the pull of a trigger, you're just applying more paint into the roller. Simple as that. So watch out for that video. It will come here soon.
Yes, approve.
But back to this topic. So I set it all up, and as you can see, I'm using the water bucket of clean water right now just to test everything.
Thumbs up.
You cannot hear the pump, but the pump is stopping and just small pumping. You might even leave some of the sound in the background, just but then you can see what happens when you don't prep your gun proper and the dunk tighten your joints. The water sprays all over. But as you can see, it pulls a nice spray out, and the pump is only repressurizing what is needed and then holds the pressure. So the pump is just going stop. Stop. That's just rebuilding the pressure inside. The pressure sensor is seeing and noticing, oh, there's a little bit of loss.
Too high.
And now you can see it actually final result. It's spraying just right. And as soon as I hit the trigger, the pump is just running like and good as, and reapplies the pressure into the hose. So that is pretty much the job. How to do it in the field, how to service and repack your Titan 440 in this example. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Please rate and subscribe.